Hi guys, Spencer $23 here. Welcome to today's episode. We are going to be talking about the update. My apologies, I am losing my voice. I know I say this all the time. I just guess streaming and making videos is not good for my voice. So I hope you can bear with me, guys. Now, I know you guys have been wanting me to wade into the debate about the update. Lots of my fellow YouTubers have been doing this. They've put in videos with their opinions on what has happened with the update. Some of them seem to have changed their opinions, some of them have not. But what I can tell you guys is, one thing for sure is, what you get from me is what I think. I don't say things just for views. There is a lot of things I could say which I know would get more views. Certainly I could bash the hell out of Supercell as much as possible, and that would be a more popular video. I'm not going to do that just for the sake of it. Everything I say in this video is entirely my own opinion. I don't get any inside information from anywhere, but I'm pretty certain that some of the things which I suspect, or some of the things I believe, are almost certainly going to be true. And I think some of it needs to be explained. I know the developers are not going to explain it. I know a lot of the other YouTubers either don't think it or they don't want to take the risk of explaining it. But I'm going to put my neck on the line. I'm going to explain it as best I can, and I hope that this leaves people a little clearer on what some of the problems are, why some of the things have been done which have been done, or why I think they've been done. And maybe we can get into a more sensible position of how to fix some of the problems with the game and some of the dissatisfied people. So we'll start out with the developer bashing, and we're not just going to stay on the developer bashing. I will move on to how some of the people, some of the players have behaved. I think it's been wrong, and I think some of the things that they've tried to do have been wrong, but we'll get to that. So I think it's pretty obvious that Supercell were not ready to release this update. Now, as a business, I am absolutely convinced they needed to get this out before Christmas. That's when people have their iTunes cards for their Christmas presents, whatever, and of course they want to be in the running for people to spend those iTunes Christmas cards with them. That's perfectly sensible. That is not something to bash a company for doing. It's something I would do, something you would do if you were running a company, but it has meant that they should have been way better prepared than they were, which is why I think we've seen glitches. There's been glitches which are completely unacceptable as far as I'm concerned in a game of this caliber. I've shown some of them in my channel. Excuse me one moment. Oh, you know when you get one of those sneezes that it's there, it wants to come, but it's just not quite ready. Oh, anyway, maybe I'll sneeze later. So these glitches have been pretty unacceptable, guys, and I don't think they should have released the update till that was dealt with. Another thing that gives you the impression that they weren't ready, and I think Pat's mentioned this, is of course the fact that Town Hall 11, the witches were way overpowered, and I think, as Pat mentioned, pretty much anyone could have figured that out with half an hour's playing, and that was not done. So there was definitely a rush factor involved in this, and they simply should have foregone the Christmas iTunes gift cards, and they should have not released it till after Christmas, because it clearly wasn't ready. Now, the other problem is, of course, that the Town Hall 9 and Town Hall 8 seems to be a little bit imbalanced with the spell donations and the extra time to play. Now, I'm 50-50 on this. I do realise that means that the Town Hall 9 war is not quite so much fun as it was, not quite so competitive, but you've got to sometimes look at it from a business point of view, which I'm trying to do. And if you make Town Hall 9 so much fun that nobody wants to leave, and everybody who's in the game now who is Town Hall 9 or lower just simply stops at Town Hall 9, we've got to admit, guys, that would at some point be the end of the game. So Town Hall 9 cannot be the place to be. And I can perfectly understand why Supercell would want to avoid that being the case. Maybe they did it a little bit too quickly. Maybe they didn't use the carrot and stick quite the way they should to get people out of Town Hall 9 and into Town Hall 10. But the motive, I think, is genuine. I think it makes sense. And of course, you know, people would have been complaining if a year or 2 years down the line the game was dying because everybody was having far too much fun at Town Hall 9 and simply not upgrading anything. So I do definitely get why that's been done, even if it's maybe been done in the wrong way. I don't know whether there's a way back from that or whether it can be fixed. I really haven't thought about it, how that could be resolved. Obviously, I've got people in the clan who have the exact same problem. We've got some Town Hall 9 diehard war people, and they're pretty much dissatisfied with it too. But what they're not doing is going crazy. You know, they're trying to be constructive, which I think is the sensible thing to do. So if you're going to complain about some of the aspects of this update, some of the things that I'm talking about now, there are ways that you can do that which is constructive, which benefits the game rather than trying to destroy the game. And as I tweeted today, I have personally little or no time for the people who are just angry and trying to lash out and trying to destroy the game. Literally, they just want as many people to quit as they can. They want to try and make the game ruined, and that makes no sense to me at all. That isn't somebody who is a worthy clasher. They're clearly not a benefit to the game if they just want to take the game down. If people want to quit, then they should quit. But the idea that they want to try and take people with them so that other people can't enjoy it, that makes no sense to me at all, and I don't think that's the way to go about it. And some of these people have very loud voices, making massive claims about how many people support them in their actions. You know, why don't they quit quietly would be my suggestion. I don't think there's any need for all the drama, and you know, if you don't want to play anymore, stop playing. I don't know why people need to spend so much time commenting and making such a drama about it to try and ruin the game for other people. That said, the best way, if people want to complain about things, I think, is certainly you stop buying gems, for number one. There's a lot of people claiming that Supercell are trying to destroy the game. That is an insane claim. I just shut down when I hear people saying that. It's a business, and of course, trying to destroy a business makes no sense at all. They need as many people playing, spending as much money as possible, and destroying a game has completely the opposite effect. So anything which has had that effect has obviously not been deliberate, and they will potentially be seeing already, if people are spending less money on gems, that it's had a negative effect, and they will have no option but to try and fix that. So if you want to protest, one way is don't buy gems. Another way is to email Supercell, give them constructive criticism rather than shouting, screaming and saying I'm going to quit. I don't think that's constructive. If I was reading that from a clan member, I just switch off straight away. You need to. I'll post some of the constructive criticisms that I've seen, and I think they're definitely viable. And those are the kind of things that I think people should be doing to try and improve the game, rather than trying to destroy it and stop other people enjoying it. And one final way, yes, sure, you can comment. You can write comments on the developers' Facebook, you can write them on people's YouTube videos, but again, why not make it constructive? Why not say, okay, these are the things that I think could be fixed, rather than screaming and shouting, bring back old Clash and trying to get as many likes for that as possible. That's not going to happen. Just bring back old Clash, whatever that really is. The game has to keep moving forward, and people really, I think it would be nice if they had constructive criticism solutions, what they think should happen, and the more they make that visible, then the better the game will be, and I'm sure those things at some point will be put into action. Now, I see people talking every day in all of my line chats for the clans. We've got 18 clans, so I do have a very good overview of what people are saying, what problems people have. So I do have the bigger picture, and of course I see all the comments on my YouTube and the messages that get sent to me, and it does seem like there are some very loud voices who are not being constructive, and I think they're making claims that there's a lot more people who believe them or support them in what they're trying to do than there really is. So I just wouldn't panic too much about that if I was people. It would be nice, I think, if we could move forward from this a little bit, and there's a lot of things that I would like to fix. Town Hall 11 needs to be made a little bit more difficult. And I would say at this point, guys, as far as this Town Hall sniping, I know Pat mentioned it. It's something I've never mentioned before, because it's kind of putting your neck on the line to mention these things. But seeing as Pat's mentioned it, and I think part of it has been fixed, what I want you guys to do is understand that when Supercell mentioned that a lot of the raids were Town Hall snipes, there are people who have been using bots to farm their villages, and they weren't even raiding at all. Now you might say, why would we care what other people are doing? Well, of course, when there's people who've spent $10, $20, $30,000 and they still don't have a max base, and there are other people who've spent $300 on a bot that just sits there and maxes their base for them, that has to be fixed. There has to be a way to fix that, and stopping Town Hall snipes is one of the ways to combat that problem. And I don't think anybody thinks about that, and they don't want to think about that because they just think about how it may have affected them. But that is almost certainly one of the reasons. And I've got to say, you know, I agree with the developers that needed to be fixed, and I'm hoping that this has gone some way towards it. I get requests all the time from these bot people saying, will you advertise these bots? Of course I won't do that. I think it's wrong, and well, I'd probably be banned from making YouTube videos if I ever did that in any case. But that has gone on, and the only reason I dare to mention it now is because I think it's mostly being stopped. Because if you mention it, then all you do is advertise that fact, and people who never knew about it, they may potentially start doing it. So this is why I don't mention things when I know there is a problem, and people need to be made aware of it, but you just can't make them aware without making the problem worse. So that's one thing that I've tried to stay clear from, but I think it's probably safe to mention that now. Another thing is, of course, the problem of other people using other methods of cheating in the game, and that has been a big problem as well, and I know that the developers really want to fix that, and I've been encouraging people in the clans to message the developer saying what a problem they have with it, because if nobody messages them and tell them it's a problem, then nothing will ever get done. And I think some of the recent responses from the developer have been very positive. I believe that they are going to solve the problem once and for all about how certain clans are winning clan wars when they really shouldn't, because it really does frustrate some of the good fair play players to be constantly being beaten by people who are essentially cheating, and I think that ruins the game. That's a bigger risk to the game than anything else in the long term, and I'll be glad if that's being looked at, if that's being fixed. And I know some of these things in the update are with a view to fixing that in future, but people just, I guess, don't understand that, or they don't see the motives. They just think Supercell wants to make loads of money, which is of course true, but don't we all? It's a perfectly legitimate thing to want to do, but I think also a lot of it is because they want to solve some of these other problems which we don't talk about, which we don't want to talk about, because we don't want to publicise it and make people do it more. So that's my opinion on this whole matter, guys. Hopefully I don't get it in the neck for being honest. I just say what I think. I think the time has come for me I think it's safe to say some of these things, and I think it's important that people kind of try and look at it from both sides. It doesn't benefit me at all to try and just support Supercell for no apparent reason. You know, I can see why they've done some of their things, and I can see why they can't explain to people why, but also they've made some big mistakes. They definitely shouldn't have rushed this update out. There's a lot of things that needs to be fixed. But you guys, if you're on board with me and a lot of the Lost Phoenix crew and everybody else who just wants to enjoy the game, I think we can constructively help to fix the various problems that are still there. I don't think it'll take too long, and personally I think in the long run the game will be better than ever. There's no reason why it wouldn't be, and you know, the loudmouths who really want to destroy the game, you know, if they can't have it, then no one can. Well, I mean, let's face it, I mean, I've got no time for those guys. It really doesn't matter. And on one final note, by the way, I love the I told you so moments. There were YouTubers, or certain reasonably popular YouTubers, who before this update said that it needed to be easier to 3-star at the top end of the game in trophies. And my response to that was straight away that ruins the game entirely. But they wanted it to be that way so that you could 3-star in war, and that has been proven to be completely false. It was a complete mistake to make it possible to 3-star Town Hall 11s quite so easily. Even now, even before the witches were nerfed slightly, it was still very, very difficult to 3-star a maxed Town Hall 11 anti-3-star base. Virtually impossible, but very, very difficult. Very few people even saw it happening. But there were YouTubers who said they wanted to see that happening, which would have meant that these trophy raids would have been even easier than they are now. So those YouTubers, or that particular YouTuber, you were wrong. You've been wrong about a lot of things, and I think it's best that certain people don't comment on things which they have no knowledge about, and they probably shouldn't be dissing everybody else who does have knowledge on those aspects of the game. So there's my I told you so moment, which yeah, let's face it, that was always going to be the way that it was. I don't like to get in arguments with people. I don't like to get in great big debates. I've stayed clear of this update situation for pretty much throughout. I've just tried to put out some videos to keep everybody happy, that we can all have a bit of fun whilst this gets fixed, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Now you've got my opinion on it. Some of you will agree. Don't forget to let me know in the comments. Post something constructive if you can, what you'd like to see fixed in the game. I will pass that on as best I can to the people that I know. I don't have any special particular contacts, but I would like to see a constructive dialogue rather than the craziness, screaming, shouting, I'm quitting, the game's over, the bank owns the game, whatever. None of that helps, and it's not something I'm going to get involved in. But thank you guys for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe. I hope you appreciate the honesty, and I will be back probably tomorrow. I might be able to upload tonight our war with the #1 clan in the world. But until then, you guys take care, and don't forget to send everyone